Hi, Past Kev here, speaking to you from roughly a week in the past. Now, I'm working on the assumption that during that week, my high blood pressure and general poor lifestyle didn't catch up with me in the, I was going to say unlikely, but probably quite likely event that I didn't make it as far as this video. I apologise for freaking you out. If you're not sure if I'm still alive or not at this point, your best bet is to probably check my Twitter. And just a note for my family, if I did die, I apologise if this is in really bad taste. But, you know, this is never seen before Kev footage, so you win too! Hello and welcome to part 102 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two games. Firstly against top of the table Blackburn and then away against Moneybag Swindon. Since you were last with me, the situation continued being pretty dire. A long spell of just losing an awful lot of games. I actually thought I'd given up all hope around about here. A run of 6 games, or 7 games, one of which was in the FA Cup, including the last episode, 7 games in which we only scored 1 goal and we didn't win a match. It was hideous. It's the worst run of form I think I've ever had in Football Manager, to the point where I spotted a 10-day gap in the scheduling and decided, right, old school Football Manager tricks, let's arrange 2 friendlies against pathetic opposition, get some goals scored, an 8-0 win against Lutterworth Athletic and a 7-0 win against Coventry United later, and suddenly we go away from home to West Brom, who were top of the league at the time, and beat them 1-0 with a last minute winner from Zach Walker. As you can see, there they were top of the league, we just knocked them off. We're still in trouble, 35 games in, we're 8 points away from the Kev ratio. The Kev ratio is gone. We're not hitting that this season. Importantly though, we are only 2 points away from safety. An incredibly unlikely second win against top of the table opposition in 4 days would have a very good chance of bringing us out of the relegation zone at the expense of Rochdale, who are playing the previously mentioned Moneybag Swindon, who are up in a playoff position. I don't rate my chances because, you know, the West Brom game was ridiculous, but you never know. Perhaps form has turned around. Perhaps all we needed was a little bit of confidence, massage a few egos, get 6 goals in 2 games into Ruggles, and all of a sudden Walker decides to score. That's his name, isn't it? Walker. Yes. So, this is the team that I'm putting out there against Blackburn. This might look like a familiar lineup. Well, this is the lineup and tactic I used against West Brom. That's right. We went away against the top of the table team when all hope was gone. Did our 4-3-1-2 control and flexible, and it worked. And we beat them and we kept a clean sheet. I've only made 1 change from that game, and that's to bring goal scorer Zach Walker into the team at the expense of Matt Symes. So our starting 11 is Griffiths in goal because Mitchell is injured. So Sam Griffiths has been playing recently. I think this is probably it now for Mitchell. Griffiths has played the last 8 games. I don't expect him to ever lose his place now. Even when Mitchell's fit, Griffiths is now our keeper, I guess, unless something bad happens, because he's got so much potential. He's already pretty much as good as Mitchell. 2.5 star equal to Mitchell at the moment, and he's got 4.5 star potential. He's only 20 years old, and we'll go with him whether we're in this division or the division below next year. Griffiths is going to be our keeper, I think, and we're going to commit to him for a few seasons, the same way we did with Robbie Nadat, because that idea doesn't ever fail. Our back four is going to be Ball, Hughes, Sawyer and Ibrahim, with Davies, Johnson and Barber in midfield, Darwin in behind Ruggles and Walker. Miles Darwin is better as an attacking midfielder than he is in the midfield 3. That's what we've established. He had an absolutely outstanding performance against West Brom, playing as the attacking midfielder. He's been playing as our attacking midfielder for a little while now. You can see we've tried him as an attacking playmaker. We've tried him as a shadow striker. It wasn't really working out for him as a carrilero, despite it being his natural position. Box-to-box midfielder wasn't really working out. But as an attacking midfielder, especially when James Ball is injured, as he is at the moment, or has been, he might actually be fit now. No, he's still injured. And it's been working out okay. So, I'm not expecting miracles, but part of me has to believe that if we could go to West Brom and beat them, maybe, just maybe, the Football Manager gods will smile down on us and let us have back-to-back wins against 2 top-of-the-table sides and use that to drag ourselves out of the relegation zone with 10 games left and some momentum. If we can win this game, and it is such a big if, but if we can pull off it feels impossible, the incredibly unlikely then I think we might just survive after what has been a totally miserable season. But we might just pull this off if we can pick up a win today. But like I say, it is such a big if. And I don't rate my chances against Swindon if we don't win this game, because confidence disappears again. Then we've always been a team that have been all about confidence and morale. The reason we were so good last season is because we were so good the year before. We dominated League One and brought that confidence and motivation into the Championship and used that momentum to carry us to mid-table. Whereas we ended last season poorly because teams started finding us out, and we've just been poor ever since. We're also 1-0 down after 4 minutes after a cracking finish from one of these Blackburn players. So we now have a bit of a mountain to climb as well. We've still only scored 2 goals in our last 8 matches in all competitions. We're ignoring those 2 friendlies where obviously we did score a lot of goals. For a team that's been so free scoring for so long in so many different divisions, to go 8 games where we've only scored 2 goals has been hideous. And there has to be a little bit of doubt in the minds of all the players at this point. Well, we've scored this batch of 4 games is 8 goal in the last match. We're not likely to score again, are we? We might as well just hand this one to Blackburn. But that's exactly the mentality we need to see the back of. I think I've just given myself a coffee foam moustache. But come on, lads, let's get back into this. Darwin, back to, I don't even know who that is. Johnson, was it? Walker. I don't know why Walker's dropped so deep. He's supposed to be our advance forward or attacking. I never know the fancy words. And ball's just been ran past as if he wasn't even there. And once again, our terrible defenders let us down. Our left back is ruined. And it's 2-0 after 15 minutes. And maybe that little glimmer of hope that we got in the West Brom game is already disappearing. 2-0 down and it looks like normal service is resumed. I don't really know how we got away with it against West Brom. We played really, really, really well against them. And we're not doing that today. Although I guess you could argue loads of momentum with Blackburn. They've just got to the top of the league for the first time all season, I think. They're going to be on top of the world with 10 games to go, trying to secure the title. West Brom were in poor form anyway, and we're just looking for somebody to lose to. And we might actually have a better chance against Swindon, but I don't know, neither of these games feel particularly winnable based on our form this year. But Darwin has got a goal back, 17 minutes on the clock, and there is Miles Darwin in that more attacking position that we were talking about before the match. He's much more effective in that role. We might have found his home. He might actually slowly start looking like £1 million off a footballer. It's really unlikely. If anyone wants to buy him in the summer, feel free to come and make me an offer. But for now, he's scored a massively important goal. And if we can use that to give us a little bit of belief and get back into this game, who knows what might happen. This is going to be the most mood-swingy of mood-swingy episodes. And I know I have some mood-swingy episodes. That's, of course, assuming we are going to mount a comeback, which I think we will. We played well in that last game. I know we've not started this game particularly well, but scoring goals is a bit of a novelty for us. And now we've got a taste for it again. We might just turn back into the free-scoring Nuneaton of old, which, it's long overdue. I'm ready to be a free-scoring team again. Perhaps the fact that I've not got Fisher or Weaver even on the bench would help. Perhaps if I brought one of our previously free-scoring players into the squad again. But then they were really poor. They were part of the problem. I think I need to be ruthless this summer, whatever division we're in. I think we've been very loyal to a lot of players for a long time and showed a lot of faith in youngsters. And I think we probably need a change of transfer policy this summer. Whichever division we're in, we can't just rely on youngsters from the Premier League. We've got enough of them now. We need to bring in 3, 4, 5 actual quality players for this level, whatever this level ends up being next season, but quality players who know how to play in that division, and start moving on some of the players who really probably should have started to move on when we hit League 2. The likes of Anderson and Sawyer and Ball and Fisher, Johnson even maybe in midfield. These are players who played massively above their level, massively out of their skin last year, but you can see by the kind of teams that they're ending up being linked with. Joe Anderson constantly being linked with Grimsby for the last 2 years. Well, I know Grimsby are in this division, but only just, and presumably, they're doing what we did last year. Look, they're in the top half. Grimsby are safe already. Grimsby are this year's Nuneaton. That would be a great move for Joe Anderson. So perhaps he's not as bad. If a mid-table championship club wants him, perhaps he's not that bad after all. But he's not in my team today. Right, let's make some substitutions. We've got 20 minutes to find a way back into this game. A draw would be absolutely fine. I will take a draw in this game at this point. If the universe is listening and wants to offer one up to me. Can Walker play as a target man? In fact, we're going to take Walker off anyway. And we're going to do a Kev triple. And we're going to see which one of these two is going to be better playing deep. Neither of them are great, but Cairns, I've got more confidence in Cairns grabbing a goal than I have Symes. So he can play as the attacking advanced forward man. And Symes can play in a role he's not really comfortable doing as a target man, but he has done it plenty of times before. It's not like he's never played as a target man for us before. But it's a big ball over the top. We've seen it so many times before. The ball over the top, and they score. I'm not dropping my defence back. I've spent half a season messing around with dropping the defence back, dropping in a defensive midfield player, fiddling with a formation. I'm done with all that now. It's 4-3-1-2. And if we get relegated, we get relegated. We'll come straight back up. If it's good enough to survive, then yay, we survived. But I think I've caused more harm than good this year by constantly fiddling and making changes to the system that just haven't improved the team at all. And looking back, I do wonder if I'd have stuck with what I said I was going to do way back in this, I think it was the second episode of this season, like this time last week maybe. And I said, well, I'm just going to stick with the 4-3-1-2 and hopefully we'll come good again, or words to that effect. I wonder if I'd have done that, would we be in the mess we're in now? Because that system served us so well for so long, and to just abandon it, well, I mean, we showed against West Brom how effective this system can be. And just because it's not now working against Blackburn, who are top of the league, I will point out again, doesn't mean that it won't work for the remaining 10 games of the season. And realistically, we perhaps need 4 or 5 wins out of those 10 games, which isn't unattainable. And it might even not be that. It might even be less than that that's needed, because there are some rubbish teams in the Championship this year, and we're definitely one of them. But there are 4 or 5 teams not good enough for this level. We just need to make sure we're not in the worst 3 over the course of the next 10 games, which I think isn't an unrealistic thing to shoot for with this system. But goodness me, have we been poor today? Given them 5 clear-cut chances, they've been fairly lenient on us, and Barber hits the crossbar, I think, or may have been palmed away by their keeper, but either way, we're all just ready for the full-time whistle now. Come on, game, put us out of our misery. We want to move on to the Swindon game and hopefully grab a result there. We're keeping an eye on the teams around us. Exeter seem to have gone ahead in their match, so it's now a 3-point gap between us and Exeter, and obviously our goal difference is a write-off, so it's basically a 4-point gap. There is a lot of ground to make up. It's going to be hard work, but hopefully we pick up a win against Swindon in the next game, and then it's all about just getting back to that Kev ratio. If we hit the Kev ratio, we will be fine. So if we beat Swindon, that would give us 30 points from 39. So we need to win our next 4 games, and then we'll be at the Kev ratio, and then win a couple more after that too. Oh God, this isn't looking likely, is it? Let's go and play Swindon. I think my cheating is not working as effectively. We arranged 2 more friendlies because it was an international break, only getting a 2-0 win over Coventry Sphinx and a 3-0 win over Bowl Hall, and our morale, after those 2 friendly wins before, this was up to superb and very good for everybody. Despite the fact that we beat West Brom, the defeat against Blackburn hasn't been recovered by those fairly tame friendly wins. We still seem to be struggling to score goals. There's a couple of tweaks to the team. I forget who was actually in the team before. I know Symes has come in, Longdon's come in. I think they're the 2 changes. Oh, this is going to be a big test of my convictions. We're away from home against a team who've spent an extraordinary amount of money. Swindon are fully sugar-daddied up. They'd spent £10 million before we'd even signed a player this summer. I haven't even seen how much they spent in total, how much they added to that in January, but they have been spending freely. After waltzing to the League One title last year, they're up in the playoff positions this time round, and they should beat us comfortably. We're away from home, but that's what we thought about West Brom, and we managed to get a result out of them. So I am hopeful that we can have another remarkable result, although I'm definitely not banking on it. And looking at the schedule of games that we've got left, survival is going to be a massive, massive ask. I'm already thinking in terms of trying to rebuild and get promoted next year, because I know we're only 3 points away from safety. I just don't see us doing it. It looks, we're just not good enough. And we went so far using morale and dynamics to get us there because we had an established team, because we had people like Sir Tom Elliott still at the club. I know I jokingly said earlier in the season that, oh, we've lost Sir Tom Elliott, it's all going wrong now. But he'd been here 13 years. He was a team leader. He was an established player. We lose him. Joe Anderson doesn't get in the team anymore. He's a team leader. Dan Fisher doesn't get in the team anymore. He's a team leader. James Ball is injured. He's a team leader. So our 4 main team leaders for our entire run from the Conference North all the way up to the Championship, all 4 of them are now no longer in our team. And they were all in and around the squad last year. I know Sir Tom didn't actually play until right at the very end, but he was always in the squad. And I think that's cost us massively. We needed to be bringing new team leaders through, and I don't think I've done it. So that needs to be the goal for the rebuild in League One next year. I think it's time to move on the likes of Joe Anderson and Fisher, maybe. Move these players on who have previously been team leaders but have proven over 2 years that they can't cut it at this level. It's no use us having them as our team leaders. We need to move them on and bring through players who might end up being mid-table Championship players who could then step up and be our team leaders. I think that's how it works. I don't think anyone else is going to step up until we get those ones out of the way. I think if someone knows more about dynamics than me, then please let me know. We've not had a shot on target yet in this game, and we're playing control. This is troublesome. The only thing going in our favour is the fact that Swindon have only scored once. But I just get the feeling, like you sometimes get when you play against a team that's much, much better than you are. Yeah, they've only scored once, but they could score again at any moment. They just have to decide they want to, and it goes 2-0. They've had 3 clear-cut chances. They've had all of the attacking play. They're not really letting us have the ball in any threatening situations. Right, Davis, what can we muster up here? Nothing, because it's a terrible pass, and now Swindon are on the attack. And it's a ball over the top again, and our defenders are just so slow. We need to replace our entire back 4, but we can't afford to do it because we've got players who are good enough to play at the back in League One, and we only have a League One budget, so we can't bring in a Championship quality back 4 because we can't afford one. We're in that same catch-22 situation all the time. We need the new ground so we can have the increased income, so we can bring in the better players that we need. But I suspect when we get relegated, they'll cancel the new ground. I don't know if that's something they can do or whether that's set in stone now. But I guess the argument would be if we're in League One, we don't need a bigger ground. Oh, part of me thinks in real life, I think in this situation, we're probably already ground sharing with Coventry. Because we need the income from the increased attendances to survive at this level. But I don't know if that's actually the case. Ruggles has got a goal back for us, so you never know. We might drag ourselves kicking and screaming back into this match, as ridiculous as that situation would seem. Ruggles is a Championship quality player, and perhaps that's what we need to do with our defenders. Perhaps we need to bring in 2 or 3 lone defenders. We've got good permanent strikers and midfielders now, sort of. Perhaps we need to use our loans on defenders. We've just scored another goal. We've equalised. It's Alex Barber. Suddenly Kev sits up. He's engaged with the game. It's 2-2 and the dream is alive again. Oh, it would be one of the finest achievements in my history of playing Football Manager if we survive this season, because we shouldn't. We are not good enough to. Right, what can we do to grab a winning goal? Lee Davis is going to come off and we're going to bring on Jay Johnson to play out there as our Carrilero, and James Key is now fit again. I don't think James Key has played all season. Is this the moment for James Key to come on for Darwin? I don't know that it is. What we will do is bring on Lang for Ibrahim, and we're going to leave it there. I don't think it's a time for bringing on experiments. We have got Dan Fisher on the bench though, who for the last 10 minutes he's about as far away from an experiment as you can get. He's out. I mean, he must be closing in on all-time top goal scorer at this point. Let's get him on for the last 10 minutes. Let's see if Dan Fisher has a winner for us, because he is a big game player. When the chips are down, Dan Fisher often turns up, although the highlight is a Swindon attack, hopefully because we're about to win the ball back and break. But no, they've scored. I tried to build up the romance, but it's a 5-point gap now to Rochdale. I think this might be it. I think this is the day where I know it's not mathematically there yet, but I think coming out of this episode with no points, even though they're 2 games we would have expected pre-season to lose, we haven't beaten enough of the teams around us, and I think this is the point. That gap has never been 5 points all season. For it to stretch out to 5 points with only 9 games left, it's looking really unlikely that we turn this season around at this point, and it's a real shame because we did so well to get here. We did so well last season, and we've been totally out of our depth this season. Right, have we got a last-second equaliser in us? It's Fisher, plays Ruggles through, and Ruggles misses. Our best opportunity of the entire game, and it goes wide. And unfortunately, that's pretty much the story of our season right there. Well, I guess there's a good chance this time tomorrow we'll either already be relegated or you'll be watching us get relegated. And that makes me grumpy. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.